Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to F1 Manager. This is episode 28. How in the world do you follow up what just transpired in the last episode and a podium finish? All you can really do is put your head down and get on with it. That's what we're going to try to do here in our post-race message. Everyone is talking about Williams as they exceed everyone's expectations, currently placing in P4 of the Constructors' Championship with 23 points. A place I do not expect to stay by any stretch of the imagination, but my oh my, do I feel pretty good about that 7th place. All of a sudden, yeah, things are good. Car part research has unlocked as we are experiencing more than what we had last year in terms of minor. This is still going to be considered minor, but it's a bigger, impactful upgrade than what we saw last year. But what is the result? Which version is it going to be? The version we wanted, with slow speed corners being the focal point, or is it going to be the high speed downforce that is greatly affected, which of course is our strong area, which percentage wise would take a much bigger hit. Either way we can overcome it, I suppose. Everybody's got to face it. Fingers crossed that it's low speed. And we voted for 4 teams voted for, 5 teams voted against, 6 teams. Okay, it was 5-5. It was a 5-5 vote. It tied. But the tiebreaker, the FIA did something. They did something right. Miracles. Miracles do happen. All right. Hey, we're on a roll, folks. I'm still riding that high of that last race. And my oh my, this absolutely went the right direction. Now, if you missed the discussion last time, here's why this is the better solution. We are bad at low speed. We are mid-pack in high-speed cornering. Okay, medium speed is going to be impacted at 20% no matter what. That being said, low, high. We are bad at low speed, so let's just throw out a random number, 10. If you take the number 10, and that's our quality of low speed, but we're twice as good at high speed, it's a 20. Okay? If you take a 10 and subtract 30%, it's a 7. You're losing 3. You take a 20 and subtract 30%, you're losing 6. Okay? So the overall impact to our car is greater on high speed if you're subtracting 30% than it is on low speed. Now, you're going to lose no matter what, but let's take away 10% for a moment. What does that look like? From a 10, you're losing 1. From a 20, you're losing 2. So, in one version, you lose 3 and 2. Total points lost to the car being 5 out of the 30 that we had. In one version, where you flip that, you're losing 1 and 6, so 7. Overall impact on the car is greater. Even though they technically have the same amount of percentage being dropped, 1 drops the car by 5, 1 drops it by 7. This was the result that helps us. That's not to say that I'm not going to focus on low speed this year, since it did go the right way, but it means we can really push that high speed out even more, push the medium speed because it's impacted the same either way. We won't focus as much on low speed cornering this year. I think next year is where we're going to really dial in our low speed cornering, but we'll take what upgrades we can kind of get as the season goes on. Next up, Emilia Romagna, and we are looking at a track that has a number of straight sections, but they're not very long. And you have some tight cornering mixed with some high-speed cornering. It's a big combination. But there's a fairly big sequence of high-speed corners that make the high-speed corners, especially where they're located at, just impactful enough that it's got the slight edge. So it is a track that's going to suit us decently. The top speed is not an issue. So we'll see how we perform with this one. I would expect that we can compete on the edge of points, hopefully. on merit this time, and not with everybody on the planet crashing out. Looks like it's going to be a dry week. Sunday is going to be much cooler than Friday and Saturday, but I don't think they've quite figured that out into the game as of yet.
The hills of Tuscany are green to the south, but here in Imola the air is red hot. Welcome to Ferrari's turf for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. The track has been around since the 60s, but the first official Formula One race was held here in 1980. Let's see what excitement lies ahead this year. This is Imola, and it's an old school track with plenty of elevation changes and lots of corners. There's only one DRS zone here, but it follows the long straight right before Tamburello and should see plenty of action. At this early stage in the season, there are still plenty of opportunities for things to change. In this sport, there simply are no guarantees.
Before we jump in, you may have noticed that the graphics much better once again here in the intro. I have not quite finished everything upgrade-wise for my computer, but it's just about done and put together. I have a new GeForce RTX 3080. It's one of the best graphics cards, most expensive ones that you can get on the market. So let's hope that the new system, now of course going back on the old one, the problems. I could run Ultra on the game just fine. The graphics card I had, a 2070 Super, was more than capable of running Ultra for the game. But then I have a second monitor, and then I have recording hardware, recording software, and that combination with the encoding of the recording as we were going along, too many steps, too many things that required the graphics card, and it overloaded and couldn't get the frame rate it needed in the encoding process only. That's where the lag was taking place. So we turned it down. It was still on high. Everything was set to high most recently. But here we are back. We're going to try Ultra again. We'll see how it goes with the new graphics card. Much, much more powerful than the previous one, even though the previous one was pretty powerful too. But I think this is almost double. It's like 95% better than the baseline on what the previous one could do. So let's hope that it can get that frame rate right where we want it on the encoding process, because I know for me it's going to look beautiful. But can we keep it looking beautiful for you? Well, let's find out, and let's see what we can do in this race weekend. FP3 so far in the first 2.5 sessions I've run one lap on normal. It was very low fuel. It was a good time on that one lap. Let's take a moment on high fuel and get about one lap for each driver, just as they're heading out starting a stint. I mean, we've got 30 kilograms worth of fuel in the car right now. So
yes,
that's gonna mean, you know, and look at the tires they used as well. Already used. We just started a stint on the same set of tires that we started the day on. Let's just see where that puts us. At the moment, we've been at the back with the Aston Martins, but we've been pretty consistently ahead of them throughout this weekend. Usually by a lot more than we are right now in the earlier stages of the weekend. And I have a feeling we're going to be somewhere up here in a moment's time before we turn around and back things off again. Just try to see where we're at with high fuel, race pace wise. Not pushing, just driving, used tires, you know, just curiosity. And it's going to take us a moment because, like, Porsche just started this lap. I don't know if Albin had already started the lap he's on right now by the time we turn it up. Porsche, I'm sure, will have been up to pace by the time he gets going on his. Let's see, where were we? Yep, both are green. And here we go, a moment of truth for Albin as he crosses the line. Yellow sector 3, not a good one on that apparently. Didn't even improve his time. How about Porsche? Wow. High fuel. High fuel, big factor here. Engine turned up, time's not actually improving. So used tires and high fuel. Now this is finally post update, what, 1.8, version 1.8. There's some things to deal with, like managing your fuel load. So managing your fuel load is definitely of concern. Our best times might not necessarily be coming because we have a new front wing, we have a new rear wing, we have somebody who's sitting out FP1. I mean, there's a lot going on here. And yeah, that did not really bring up the times at all. So, But of course, tire wear is now more representative. Time falls off lap by lap, not just once they fall off the cliff. More happening, more depth being added through that update to the game, really. In the past, I've seen just pushing harder, making a bigger impact than tire wear and fuel. Now we're seeing the opposite effect. Tire wear is absolutely a contributing factor in lap times, as is fuel. So we should see a greater impact with that one, because as we had turned things up, lap times didn't improve. We turned it back down. Just towards the end of FP3, I put Albon on fresh mediums, and not a heavy fuel run, but not just a few laps either. It was 10 laps worth of fuel. I mean, it was a decent amount of fuel in the car, but not a lot. With fresh tires, fresh mediums, not softs. And he went significantly faster, but not pushing. I mean, that was backing off. He shaved off more than half a second on his time, about 6/10, just because he had fresh tires, even though it was a harder compound. So it'll be interesting to see how that translates in the upcoming race, as I do think it's going to be a factor. Now, Porsche was at 91%, made some changes, was still at 91%. It was some good, some bad, but we got his window fairly small, where you think the right move is evident to get him much closer. Meanwhile, Albon, I did get up to 100%, but track acclimatization, neither one getting anywhere near 100%. Albon missing FP1 is a good 24% behind Porsche. So he's not getting full bonus, and car parts knowledge is still only at 85%, because we didn't just have one new part, we had a new front wing and new rear wing for this racetrack. So for Albon, only 13 out of 15. I would imagine we would probably get Porsche to 14 out of 15 for the race. And we're heading out for our banker laps, just now starting those laps. Alonso's going to instantly get in the way of Albon, but I think we slip by without a problem. But here is Russell. We'll see how long it holds us up as we go around Russell. I think Porsche might have made that move happen without being impacted. And I think Ocon should just about be out of our way. So Porsche, 1:15.67. Albon right there with them. Those two neck and neck. But let's see how that compares to everybody else. Were those clean laps, or were they just very similarly impacted? We are just under a second behind Sainz in Ferrari. We're half a second behind Ocon in the Alpine, but those are the teams that are well ahead of us. It's what about the other teams? What about the McLarens? What about the Haas, AlphaTauris, and of course the Aston Martins as we head back in? I do think I want to give us a second lap on these, but of course with the new system we should be losing lap time if we go out again, but it's worth a shot just to see where we're at. And we're starting our second lap now on that same set. Porsche has Leclerc in front of him, but they are both on hot laps. It is Ricciardo we're going to have to watch out for, so positioning on Ricciardo as he is finishing up his lap. It looks like that's a clean place. I do not think we are impacted. Albon is definitely not impacted. Porsche does not improve his time, as you would think would be the case. Albon does, but not by much. Albon shaves off about 2/10. So where are we in terms of placement? Well, we're nearly a second ahead of Stroll in the Aston Martin. but that's not really who we're racing with anymore. You know, we've left them in the dust. Magnussen is behind, but barely. Albon just ahead of Ricciardo, just behind Vettel, a little behind Tsunoda. That seems to be about where we're at now, but we finally have a representative time from everybody, and at the moment, we might just barely escape. Alright, pit lane is emptying for one final run. We'll see what we can do. We've still never managed to get out of Q1 in a meaningful way, and I think that was just about everybody. Not quite. Got a couple there. I don't think I've seen Haas, but they're always right at the edge of the screen. Let's get Porsche out there before we run out of time. Minute 50. And then we will get Albon just behind him. There you go. Okay, Haas has gone out, so we went out just behind Haas. I think we are well timed here. Minute 38 to go. Minute 14 is a lap. And we are already on the pit straight. Let's hope we get around in time. I think we'll be okay. If anybody's in trouble, it's Albon. Took them a little longer to get going than I thought it would. One McLaren going very early. It's going to be hard for them to get the kind of time necessary, you would think. We're definitely on the back half of the lap. Still got a little ways to go as we go through the chicane there, and then we've got one final U-shaped sequence of turns. 15 seconds is all we have left. Looks like Porsche is definitely okay. Albon's going to be a close call here. There is the start-finish line, and Porsche has started his lap. 3, 2, 1. Checkered flag. Albon misses it by about 1 second. We pushed it a hair too long. I didn't think I had it. We went just a couple seconds after Porsche, but he got out of the pit lane really slow. So, Albon probably going to be out. You would think somebody's going to better their time. We missed it by a second, trying to get the most track grip you can. You got to push that to the limit, and we don't. So will Porsche get us out, or does my streak continue? Qualifying has not been my strong suit. Only by 2 milliseconds, so Albon's still ahead. Magnussen's up, safe, out. Porsche, it's up to Porsche to break the trend. Can he do it? No! No, not even a 1/10 of a second better for Porsche. And the streak continues for the second, third, I don't know how many races running. That's going to be 16th and 18th.
Drivers are strapping themselves in, ready for race day.
Williams had a good performance in qualifying. Now they'll be eager to demonstrate that they can have an even better race. We saw a reasonable push from Mercedes in qualifying, and they'll have plenty of opportunities here to achieve a great result. And the sky is looking grey and cloudy today. An effective tyre strategy could prove very valuable as the race plays out.
Meanwhile, in the grandstands, the red wave is swelling. So let's find out who wins the day here at Imola.
I think our straight line speed and our low downforce cornering is still a bit of a issue. Still holding us back a bit towards the back end of the grid. We might have that high speed cornering. This isn't quite that track to just suddenly get us up into 9th or 10th place. Now, race strategy is another matter, and you can make things happen. But for the time being, continue to struggle at the back end of the field, but obviously getting just more and more competitive. Third place was an absolute fluke, and we get some 10th places on regular race weekends. The moves we made for Porsche worked out. We got him to 95% on the confidence. We've got Albon at 100%, so at least there's that going for us. Porsche, I don't know how the system works, but Porsche might have been going through that qualifying session with fewer bonuses because we were trying out a new setup, which really at that point puts the impetus on the race, right? We sacrificed qualifying to get that setup right. We got it right. We got them to 95%. We certainly got it better than it was. but it might have hurt his qualifying pace by a fair bit by lowering his attributes, not getting that bonus. I'm not sure how that system works. Really not sure. But we have those bonuses now. We're going to go for the one-stopper. I am, for the second time, going to go a bit more conservative drive style, especially hearing that the update wasn't all good. There was some mistakes, things that are going to need to be readjusted, another small update to tweak things, but fuel apparently can be a pretty serious concern. So I'm not going to underfuel the car. I want to make sure we have enough fuel and see how things go.
It's a bit of a cloudy day for the race, but the atmosphere, as ever, is electric. Here we have Alexander Albon. They're starting in the bottom half of the grid today, so there's a lot of cars between them and the podium. And looking at the second Williams car. Slower than most yesterday, so today they'll be starting from the bottom half of the grid. The race start is mere seconds away. All eyes are on the race here at the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we go.
All right, we are now racing. We want to turn things down sooner rather than later, but let's see how we do here on the start. And Albon already down to P17, Porsche to P19. I think our spot on the grid cost us a little bit there, and one row was a little bit better off than the other row. And we find ourselves battling the Aston Martins instead of competing with others like we should be. Yeah, not good there. Not good there at all. And Porsche down to B20 get squeezed out. Seriously? Back ahead of Stroll.
That's good.
Porsche's going to have to continue pushing because of position. Albon has gone around Ricciardo. We are having a look to the outside. Can we maintain the spacing around the outside? We do. But the overtake fails. Okay, let's tuck back in, wait for the DRS.
You can afford to drop back. Okay. Increase lifting coast.
Go ahead and go neutral. We'll get them with DRS, it's fine. I'm going to look to the inside now. Again. Now we're backing off. But meanwhile, Porsche finally around Schumacher. Completes a pass. Not worried about that overtake. That one's not a big deal, but we've got to close that gap ahead of us. Go neutral, but close that gap. .3 We've closed it up, right on their heels, and the Aston Martins are out of DRS range. Alright, race situation in terms of who is on what tire. A lot of guys opting to start on the hards. A lot of guys going in the reverse one-stopper. Verstappen on the mediums, Leclerc, Hamilton, Russell all on the mediums, Guan Yu Zhou, who just got around Norris, is on the mediums, Vettel, my guys, and Schumacher all on the mediums. As for the soft compound, which is going to be what you would suspect is a two-stopper, soft, medium, medium, Magnussen, Tsunoda, and Ricciardo. So if Ricciardo can't get ahead of our guys, if we can get around Ricciardo, then we are sure to finish ahead of him as he's on this two-stopper strategy, and we'll have a whole extra stop later on and not even have the pace right now to do anything. Now our only issue with Vettel is that he's also on that medium, and passing him is going to be a different story. Norris, if we're lucky, can go backwards and we can move up a bit. He's going to be just trying to hold position as best he can. You see it's very, very tight here with Tsunoda, Magnussen kind of starting up a little trade, Bottas holding up some cars behind him. Tsunoda runs wide. That's going to drop him to the back, you would think. Ocon goes back. Ocon going backwards. That's a crash. That is a crash.
Yellow ahead. Yeah.
Let's have a look. Now have a watch of this. Looks like Ocon.
Lock up,
They've
goes
lost
wide,
control, and there's the crash.
into the wall. Porsche did that once in practice, same corner. and
The team
wiped
are
out the front
devastated.
wing. Just minor
They'll
damage,
be
but
questioning just
he
what
hit it.
happened out there.
Ocon hit that a bit harder than we did. And there is Pourchaire going to the inside of Ricardo. And does he complete the move? They are still side by side. And eventually, yes. So Pourchaire has gotten by.
And there's an overtake from Williams.
Now we're going to need a little more from Albin to try to complete a move here. We are coming up on the straight. Maybe we throw on the overtake and go aggressive for a moment. And not push the fuel load. Is that going to be enough with DRS? Of course, he has DRS as well. That's the problem with the DRS train. As Norris has been beaten. So Norris going backwards and Norris on that hard compound. You would think we can get past Norris. Go ahead and turn it up. I know we can get Norris soon. And having a look to the inside, Norris squeezes us out, but eventually we do get up beside him. Still side-by-side racing. And the move.
And a new position.
Thought we had it there,
Just
and we do
gained by
get
Williams.
it complete, and we continue to put pressure on Vettel. Let's go ahead and go neutral. Back off. In fact, harvest. Oh, bad timing on that one. Overtake. Complete. Neutral. And we are through. In one lap, we complete 2 moves. That's up to P13 for Albin. P16 for Pourchaire. Already much better than where we started. Now, what is our gap like in front, though? 2 seconds is the interval. That's going to be difficult without the DRS. Meanwhile, Pourchaire. Let's see if we can get Pourchaire coming through. And Pourchaire completes the move and is already right on the heels of... Is that Vettel? It is Vettel. And we get to the front of this train. Albin, meanwhile, is 3 seconds back, so he's lost close to a second over, what, 3 laps, 4 laps? So he's losing about 3/10 of a second on the guys in front of us without that DRS, without pushing, just driving neutrally. Having a look, Pourchaire having a look on Vettel. Not able to make a move. But we're keeping that pressure on a little bit longer. Try to make this a 1-2, and then we'll try to then drive on with Albin at some point here. We don't want that gap getting too huge.
DRS is currently disabled. DRS is currently disabled.
Okay, battery empty. Have to recharge that. Guess we'll have to accept our position for the time being as Vettel is actually challenging Albin and goes back ahead. Okay, in terms of gaps, Vettel is 5 seconds back of the train in front of us. Russell is leading that train, so he's helping pull Tsunoda and Guan Yu Zhou along. Everybody else is faster. Tsunoda, of course, was on the soft, so that's helping him stay up there. But he's got that 2-stopper. So we're going to actually have... He had a 5-second advantage, essentially. And he's going to need, 25, 30 seconds. So at this point, he doesn't have it. At this point, he's nowhere near having it. He had 5 seconds was all. So advantage us on that one. Fuel load, that's not a lap, it's just a kilogram. That's not a lap worth of fuel. They have recalculated how that looks now. Now it's just straight kilograms instead of trying to calculate the lap thing, which was confusing at times and not consistent.
We've just had a car run wide.
Bottas running wide, turn 6. Bottas was in that front group. That's going to probably drop him out of that group. Though it doesn't seem to. Guan Yu Zhou has been dropped by the group. So Zhou lost contact I'm assuming when Sonoda pit. So Bottas just went to the back of the group was all, but Zhou is off the back of the group. We are now 6.5 seconds behind, and there is Norris going past Pourchaire. Pourchaire losing contact there for a moment because we were still in harvest. See how easy it is to lose pace? Harvest, not our friend. Back to neutral. He's almost full. Pourchaire's at 60%. We had to push a little harder to get him past the Aston Martins at the beginning of the race and caught back up to the back end of this train. And as a result, and his movement through, the train came with a little more difficulty, and he seems to be a little off the pace right now because he's continuing to lose ground, even though we went right back to neutral right after getting past. Checking in on that tire life, Verstappen leads from Leclerc, so Leclerc has made his way through up into second place. Sainz, Perez, so top two teams in the top 4 spots. Sector 3, yellow flag, somebody with an issue.
Was that a lockup?
Stroll with another lockup. Hamilton and Russell in 5 and 6. They are on the medium though. Gasly, Alonso, Bottas on the hard. Zhou. Let's see, did he in fact lose that train? Yes, and he's dropping back pretty quick. So Guan Yu Zhou is dropping back pretty quick. Unfortunately though, the interval for Vettel is growing to Zhou. So Guan Yu Zhou has pulled away from his teammate a little bit there, which is hurting us as we enter our pit window. Wow. We've got plenty of tire life left. We're going to have to keep an eye on the lap times though. I think we're going to be able to push on an extra lap or two, attacking, trying to see if we can't overcut with Vettel, because we're all over the back end of him. See what we can do for a couple laps in open air. Vettel does not pit on this lap. Vettel stays out. DRS helps close that back up. Now, ERS is in a much better state than it was, but we are neutral on both guys. But it's just about recovered. Now it's going to be about tire wear the rest of the way. Pourchaire, a little bit worse off, so he's probably going to pit a lap earlier than Albon, but for now, we look to extend. 1, Norris is on the hard. 2, Hamilton just pit is going to give us a pace advantage. So let's hope that we see a Vettel pit stop now. Still no. And Hamilton went around Vettel, so now we are being held up by him. So the let's follow Hamilton thing has not panned out very well. .123, and Vettel, I would imagine, is probably going to be right around that 119.8 again. Ricciardo's ahead of Vettel, by the way. So him pitting earlier has brought him out ahead. 119.7. We are losing time. We are losing time. So I think we need to pit here. Yellow flag, sector 1. Who to pit first? Who to pit first? Got to be Albon now. Now they're even. So Albon to pit. Norris will take over the lead of this train, and therefore Pourchaire can carry on a lap or two following that. Okay, so Albon into the pits. With his lap time definitely falling off there at the end. I imagine we are going to be behind Vettel by a little bit. Good stop though, 2.689. Where do we come out at? Ricciardo has gone by. Now the good thing is we have extra tire life, but we are more than 2 seconds behind Vettel. So we need to close up. We need to push on to get onto the back end of Vettel. Vettel 7 seconds behind Ricciardo. So Ricciardo's two-stopper strategy, he was right there with us. He was right behind us. But in clean air for him on the fresh tires, he was definitely fast. Ocon now 2.7 behind, but remember Ocon's going to have to stop again fairly soon as he is towards the end of the life of those mediums, and then he'll go hards to the end. Stroll has not pit yet. He is a lap down. Magnussen, Tsunoda have not pit yet, right? Oh, the two-stopper. Okay, those guys are on that two-stopper. And Pourchaire at 33%. Position lost as Russell has gone by. As long as we are holding a gap.
Gained for Mercedes.
Albon now 1.7, so he is closing that gap. Let's go ahead and ride with Pourchaire. And go aggressive.
So heads
Yeah, it
down,
looks like we
focus.
might need to pit. Where are we on track? If we're losing DRS, we would need to pit now. And we have lost DRS, so let's go ahead and pit now. Good news is we went more than half the race on the medium compound. The hard compound, something you could push a lot harder. Decent stop there. He's going to come out just behind Albon, I believe. And does. Albon just went by. Got his P16 and P17. Ocon squeezes by. Now let's go ahead and use Ocon as a kind of free ticket forward until Ocon
18.
pits.
18.
So we aren't going to have to drive aggressive to catch up
Alpine
till
just
later.
advanced.
Once Ocon passed. Ocon didn't pass. That was coming out of the pits, but okay. So P16, P18, right back where we started the race. Magnussen was the one, I believe, who was in between, but Magnussen had a great takeoff. He was on the softs. Gained some position right at the start. Albon nearly within a second. As we have it, there's that flap open. Albon has made up that ground, so from 2.2 back. Only downside here, 93% on the tire wear, 98, so he's already 5% behind Pourchaire. But where are we in relation to Vettel? Like hitting a couple laps later, only 2% ahead because we had to push to catch back up.
What you doing?
The overcut very much did not work out in our favor, but for Pourchaire, it could have an advantage. Pourchaire has passed Ocon, by the way. As things stand here on lap 37, Perez leads from Sainz. Verstappen is third. Those three all very close with one another. Leclerc has fallen off from that front trio, as it was the four of them not that long ago. Sainz just took the race lead. Gasly, Alonso, Bottas are the next train, and they're about 10 seconds behind Leclerc, and then Hamilton and Russell. Norris still running, has not pit yet. Magnussen, Zhou, Ricciardo, as we had a yellow flag there. I believe that might have been Ricciardo. No, Tsunoda with another lockup. And then Vettel, we are just a couple seconds behind, and Albon right on the heels of Vettel, and definitely is going to be able to push later on. For now, that's an easy ride. Problem for Pourchaire, though, is he is 4.7 back. Oh, Ricciardo into the pits for his second stop. So is Tsunoda. Albon has gone by. Pourchaire goes by. Magnussen's going to come out, I believe, ahead of Ricciardo. He does. He has made up a lot more of the ground that he needs. .5 seconds behind Norris, by the way, and Norris, I don't think, has pit yet. No, Norris has still not pit. So, Norris ahead of us still needs to pit. Alonso, Bottas, Gasly, Sainz, Perez all need to pit. There are some cars ahead of us that need to go into the pits. Ocon as well. These guys you got to worry about with the pace. But I think Magnussen is the only one who's going to really... Well, He's already closed right up. He's already gained 2 seconds. Magnussen's a threat. Ricciardo is a bit of a threat as well. I mean, that's 12 seconds. He was 13 something, so I don't think Ricciardo's going to be catching us. Hopefully not. Anyway, Magnussen's a different story, but Pourchaire can hopefully hold him up. Ocon pits. Ocon has pit, and he's going to come out in P19. So he is back ahead of Stroll. He is just behind Schumacher. You know he'll beat him. But it looks like P18 is what he is destined for. And Albon has gone back around Vettel once again. Ocon on the softs. So he's going for it.
And a new position.
Said 17 laps. That's right where we're at.
Williams.
Albon. Okay, that's the overtake. Sainz into the pits. He is who our race is with, and then hoping that somebody ahead of us has an issue. Good news here. Magnussen has already gone past Pourchaire. He caught him and passed him. Pourchaire needs to be keeping up with Magnussen. "12 laps to go, and the new race situation." So Verstappen, half a minute lead. Very comfortable. Hamilton, though, is P2. Leclerc, who was on that different strategy compared to these other guys, is just behind Hamilton, putting him under pressure. You got a race going on there. Perez and Sainz, fresh tires, not far behind. They've got a great chance to come through and finish P2 and P3 in whatever order. Russell is P6, definitely a little bit off the back, not looking to go forward for him. I think he's going to be holding that P6, and that's about all he can hope for. Hamilton hoping to hang on to something better than P5, but that's probably where he's expected to finish. And then Gasly, Joe, Alonso, Bottas, all on that fresh compound. And so again, all those guys in front of us are going forward, not backward, and we're already 14 seconds back. So the top 10 is very, very clear today on who it is, who's there. It's going to take, as Leclerc goes around Hamilton, it's going to take luck. Something's going to happen to one of those 10 for us to get in the points today. Then, Albon, it's all about just beating Vettel. We've been conserving fuel. We've been sparing the tires so that we can keep up the pace. Can Magnussen close this up to where Vettel is? Can we get Pourchaire into that race to make it P11, P12 at some point? And Vettel's not going to factor into that. It's Magnussen who is. Magnussen is coming, bringing Pourchaire with him. They are nearly caught up. Albon might need to get on with this race, though, because we know how bad blue flags are, and I did not see anything about blue flag updates with the changelog. Blocked there momentarily, down the edge of the straight, nearly side by side, but not quite. Not quite out of DRS range. It is going to help him close up. But he is holding up Magnussen. He's almost holding up Norris. And Pourchaire is going by! Pourchaire into P11. It's lap 63. And Verstappen is just behind. There is Verstappen. There is Verstappen. We are just barely on the lead lap. A year ago we finished a lap down. A year ago we were a lap down. Here, we are still on the lead lap. Behind us, blue flags have forced the other cars out of the way. We now have a sizable gap to them, but can we stay far enough ahead to avoid the blue flags? Verstappen, is this for the
final lap.
Win?
Final lap.
Yes. Okay. No blue flag. No blue flag issue.
Max Verstappen, over the finish line, and today's winner.
Okay, go conserve. Go conserve. Both of you.
We want to leave
Just go standard as well. You want to battle it out, battle it out. We're going to go neutral. Let them race it out. Porsche, for the first time, could finish ahead of Albon. This would be his first time beating Albon. And he came from well behind.
Yep, copy.
Tire wear was a big factor in that.
Okay, we want to
He
increase
went
lift and coast.
2-3 laps longer.
Yep, copy.
I think it was about 2 laps longer, and had a significant advantage in tire degradation here late on. Now the only unfortunate thing here is this is for P11 and P12. No points today, but congratulations to Porsche on his teammate victory. Well earned, well deserved. Tire wear is a factor. You could see it, it's present. All 20 cars finishing, one car, Ocon, the only one with a problem today. And it cost him significantly. He finished P18. From where we started to where we finished, the result is good. It's one to be proud of. The fact that we just held on to a lead lap finish, significant. That was important. That was a huge step. It was for 7th on the day. That's where we belong. That's where we hope to be. Pace-wise in qualifying, you can tell we're still not quite there. But we've got just enough. We have that understanding of strategy to push and do better and move up. And that is 19 out of 20 cars at their best. 19 out of 20 cars getting the exact result that belongs. The only other arguable thing that could have happened besides the Ocon front wing damage when he ran off was Tsunoda and the 3 times he locked up and the 3 times that Stroll locked up. Otherwise, that came down entirely to car and strategy. So for that to be that close to the points without anything benefiting us like the last race, still encouraging. Still encouraging how much closer we are. That's going to do it for this episode though. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.